morning, Rays. It's a beautiful Sunday morning here in Tennessee. I hope the temperatures have come down a bit where you're located. I know yesterday Mr. Wayne and I was out on the lake. I posted a picture on the community wall of him catching a great big flathead catfish. And that look on his face, that's what I want to see from Mr. Wayne. All the years that Mr. Wayne has busted his ass on roofs, building houses, and now he gets to kind of supervise things a little bit, but he still stays extremely busy. I have to drag him to the lake. I have to plan all these things to get him away from it all. He deserves it, and old KJ is so happy for him that he gets to enjoy his years of hard work. How's everybody doing? Well, you know, the last few days we've been rather busy. Not yesterday. It was all pleasure yesterday, but I've been having a real issue trying to get with y'all on Fridays. There's a lot of things that go on Fridays, payroll, tying up loose ends with banks and contracts and all that jazz. Good morning, Vix Tex. Good morning, Stephanie Willa. It might not be good morning to y'all. Maybe y'all are in the evening. Hello, Mikkel Callahan. Brad Marshall, good morning, y'all. Good day, good evening. Y'all, I'm going to tell you what. I don't think I knew what I was getting myself into by covering this case of Donna Adelson. Hello there, Moonlight View and Miss Milky the Clown and April Gann and Norma Guerrera. Y'all are the best. Hello, NF Mom. Well, there you go. NF Mom says, glad to catch you before I head to church. Well, God bless you. And for all those that are, I don't know how you would say it, that go to church on Sunday, that worship and all that, it really does help, doesn't it? Hello, Tanya C. Anyway, getting back to this Donna Adelson stuff, I failed, like I always do. Y'all know I don't always do things, I guess, the way that everybody else does it, but I failed the end of last week to come to y'all about the 10-year anniversary of Dan Marquel's murder. And, you know, this whole case is a little bit different than how I've covered things in the past. The last case we worked on, I'm going to tell you, y'all can think whatever you want on it, but it was a God-given thing for me to even get on YouTube. And it was just a lot more personal the last time around for me. Not to say that I don't have a deep abiding sadness and compassion for the Marquel family. I'm going to do my best to get caught up on all that. Hello, Sal Manila. Hello, Lena Howery, Tina Reddington. Good morning. But I'm like, man, you know, I'm going to come to them and make up for this. Y'all, I can't ever do something continuously the same way. This case is different than the one we covered before. There's some things about it that I feel that really have tugged me. Namely, that Donna Adelson was a mother and a grandmother, and at the same time, she has showed her true colors in emails with Wendy about trying to use religion as a way to get their way. It just crawls all over me, y'all. It's like a burr in my saddle. Hello, Donna Donald. How are you? Yes, Donna Donald says terrible mother and grandmother, I might add. Exactly. And then I got to, you know, this whole stream of thinking that old KJ does. I got to thinking about this 10-year anniversary and how long the Marquel family has had to wait to get the totality of justice. 4 individuals have already been convicted and sent off to prison. You've got Sifredo Garcia, Luis Rivera, you got Catherine McManawal, and now let's connect the dots here. We're running into the Adelson family with Charlie Adelson's conviction there. He's going to spend life in prison. I hope y'all been listening to those jail phone calls. It peers into the death tone nature of Donna and Charlie about this whole situation. But you remember, y'all, we talked about how it was just taking so long to get justice for Tylee, JJ, and Tammy, and now they're looking at Charles Vallow and Brandon Boudreaux next year. So I went and I looked, and according to a national statistical type of scenario there, it usually on average takes about 1 to 2 years for an adjudication of a murder case. It can go further depending on what? The complexity of the case. And this is absolutely a complex case that we're studying now with Donna Adelson. But folks, it was an absolutely voluminous case with Chin and Hussey there. So we're talking about a lot of different players. And don't y'all find it interesting that there were other players in the last case that never ever got in any kind of trouble? They should have themselves been tried for, if for nothing else, accessory or accessory after the fact. But it doesn't look like true justice is ever going to happen in that sense. And so we look at this case, Donna Adelson and Charlie Adelson and Wendy and Harvey there, and then you've got the hitmen, and you got Catherine McBenawal, who was the girlfriend of Charlie there. So I was looking online, and that's why I'm sitting here instead of the porch or over here by the old organ. I had some Word documents that I've been doing for the business, and I didn't want to save them and have to go back to them. I've left them open. So I didn't, I guess what you call copy and paste to be able to come to y'all about this stuff. So I'm going to get us a little bit reacclimated on this because we've got some news coming up. Y'all know that Donna Adelson is going to be tried September 17th, which just a little over a month, was it right now? It's the 21st of July. We're looking at less than 2 months before her trial starts. And of course, that will be jury selection. And if you go to those calls between Charlie and Donna, you'll see that they talk a lot about the fact that they hired these high-dollar jury selection experts to help Charlie basically get out of trouble and not have to. He thought he was on the free and clear, y'all. And this jury selection stuff is very important. And we learned a lot in the last case on, whether someone had heard of the case. And if you've heard of the case, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're not going to be picked for jury selection. Also, some of the mirrors of the last case in this one is the fact that this was in Idaho, in a certain city, and how they had to do a change of venue, and how Charlie and Donna are just absolutely convinced that Tallahassee is just too biased and all of that. So I wanted to read this article to y'all to get us caught up. It's by Kendall Brandt, and she is with WTXL Tallahassee. And I've been getting a lot of my information. Y'all know how last time when we were studying this case, it was mostly East Idaho News, Justin Lum. This is WTXL Tallahassee, News Channel 27. They've got a lot of coverage, and also the Tallahassee Democrat, which is absolutely chock full of videos. If you type in videos in the Google search engine, you will get caught up on a lot of things from the Tallahassee Democrat. But here we go. This was brought out on the 18th of July, which is the 10-year anniversary of Dan Marquel's murder. And it says ABC 27 received a statement from Gibson, Dunn, and Crutcher LLP partners, Orrin Schneider and Matt Benjamin, on behalf of Ruth and Phil Marquel. Quote, "Today marks the 10-year anniversary of the brutal murder of our beloved son, Dan Marquel. Dan was a brilliant scholar, a loving son and brother, and most importantly, an adoring and devoted father to his two young boys. It has taken a tremendous collective effort to keep Danny's memory alive and to bring his killers to justice. We are deeply grateful to the countless supporters, family and friends, colleagues and students, advisors and clergy in Tallahassee and across the world who have traveled this painful road alongside us. In the face of the darkest tragedy and grief, they have helped us remain hopeful. Our respect for law enforcement, for their commitment to justice, to accountability, and to truth is endless. We're so grateful for their unflagging dedication and support. As the years have passed, the media, print, television, podcast, and social media have played an important role in reminding everyone who Danny was and why his life mattered. While nothing will ever repair the hole torn in our hearts when Danny was stolen from us, we appreciate all those near and far who have joined our family in seeking justice and in keeping Danny's blessed memory alive. With deepest love and gratitude, the Marquel family." Now, that was their statement. And just thinking about how this is the 10-year anniversary, y'all, and how long they have had to struggle and go through these trials. Again, 4 individuals are sent off to prison. Think about that. And Catherine McBunawall, she had her original trial, and it ended up being a mistrial, so the Marquel family had to go through another trial. So, and let me back up for a minute. Sigfredo Garcia did not go to trial. He ended up making a plea agreement, and he was sentenced to 19 years in prison. So that was one thing. But even then, the adjudication all the way up to a plea agreement, y'all, that must have been terrible for the Marquel family, not knowing and all of that. Donna Adelson says, "A long time waiting on justice for her victim's family." So anyway, I wanted to read this also to y'all. This is part of the article. It says, "Neighbors remember Florida State law professor Dan Marquel 10 years after he was murdered in his Benton Hills home. I'm Kendall Brandt, and this is the woman that done this article, and I actually did these interviews, and you can find them online. It says, it's a crime that shook our neighborhood and the lives of Marquel's friends and family in 2014. 10 years later, I'm sitting down with a close friend who wants to make sure Marquel's memory is not forgotten." And you can find this interview. This is just the transcript of the interview, but I wanted to read this into the record. Jeremy Cohen says he missed his friend Dan Marquel. Kendall says, "It's been 10 years. Does it feel like it's been that long?" And Jeremy says, "I can remember him like it was yesterday, but it does feel like a long time since that happened." Also, Cohen says, "I definitely couldn't believe it. I had a lot of questions. I called his phone and left a voicemail. I saw him in the hospital, sadly, right before he passed." Cohen and his wife, Tracy, met Dan through mutual friends and lived down the street. "Our friendship grew as we grew as parents," said Cohen. Our kids went to the same preschool together." Cohen says Dan knew a lot of people throughout Tallahassee. "He was a gatherer of people. He liked to have Shabbat dinner at his house and gathered people from all corners of the community. That's how colleague and friend Jason Solomon also remembers Dan. Solomon says Dan was really someone who was big on connecting people both professionally and personally. So he really brought together people who were starting their careers as law professors. Solomon is part of the group Justice for Dan, pushing for accountability for his death and helping his family get access to their two grandchildren. Now, let's stop there for a minute. We know that Ruth Marquel and her family there had pushed the Florida legislature for grandparents' rights. Folks, think about this. Think about grandparents' rights as it relates to J.J. Vallow and what Kay and Larry had to deal with. They had no rights. Whatever Lori was wanting to do, they had no rights. And this just, I look at this, I can't help it. Y'all know I'm a big application person. It just, you think about what all that they went through and what the Marquel family went through. Solomon says they're both doing something to honor him 10 years later. We launched the Dan Marquel Memorial Prize in Criminal Law Theory to honor the future students and scholars who are thinking hard about the purpose of the criminal justice system. A world of criminal justice that now is working for Marquel after his murder. 4 people have been convicted for their role in his death, including his ex-brother-in-law, Charlie Adelson. It's a case criminal defense attorney Tim Jansen says we may not be where we are without the help of a next-door neighbor of Dan Marquel. That neighbor identified a car like a Prius. That helped the FBI locate vehicles in the neighborhood through cameras that matched that description. Donna Adelson, Marquel's ex-mother-in-law, is in jail right now awaiting trial. Prosecutors say she conspired with her son Charlie to kill Marquel. Cohen says he is glad to see the state's attorney's office working to get justice for Marquel. Quote, we went for a long time without answers and not knowing who was behind it. So here we are, 10 years later. 5 people are behind bars. Justice moves slowly, but I'm thankful it's moved to where we are today. Donna Adelson, Marquel's ex-mother-in-law, charged with murder, is making, y'all, now hear me out. She's making her next court appearance, y'all. Tomorrow, y'all, Monday. Donna Adelson will be back in court on Monday. There ain't no way, y'all, that this woman's going to take a plea agreement. I just don't believe it. She's hired Dan Rashbaum, Charlie Adelson's attorney, who did not successfully get Charlie off the hook. But Donna, she pleaded not guilty in December of 2023. So I don't know if, I'm assuming this is a pre-trial type of scenario that's going to be happening. Hello, love is a 4-letter word. Love is a 4-letter word says the Marquel case is so evil. Donna, Wendy, and Charlie, pure evil. There you go. Hi, I live for now in Maryland. Hello. Glad to see all y'all. So, tomorrow, okay, Jay's going to take a look at that. And I'm going to get with the Rays on here and see what's going on that. But I'm also starting off the week, y'all. We have spent a lot of time in the last 4 years talking about these evil, diabolical people, and rightly so. There's got to be some good that comes out of all the things that we discuss, or OKJ does to, you know, kind of let everybody know my contempt for the Hussey and the Chin and the rest of these motley crew of cult members. But we're going to start off, y'all. Here it is. And it's just, can you believe it? We absolutely, in the last 4 years, talked about seeing beyond the veil shit and all this other stuff. And we're going to be covering Ruth Marquel's book called The Unveiling. It doesn't get more ironic than that, right? We're going to start, if you don't have to buy the book, okay, just gonna read it to you. And we're going to get started on it tomorrow. I'm going to try to do every day so that people, when they hear me read it, that it can kind of be seamless throughout the week. I'm going to do my very best to get it all read at least by Wednesday, if not Thursday. But just to give y'all a little, I guess, sneak peek, I thought I would read the inside cover in the introduction to you this morning so that y'all can get ready to hear this. Why is OKJ doing this? Why am I going to read this book from Ruth Marquel? Because it has a lot of things in it, folks, that I'm always interested in, and I know you're interested in, and that is the feelings and the psyche of these victims' family members. We're so used to wanting to try to figure out these criminals, and rightly so. Let's look at it from a perspective also of the victims' family members. It's called The Unveiling by Ruth Marquel, a mother's reflection on murder, grief, and trial life. Now, here you go, y'all. Here is the mother of her murdered son wanting everyone to understand that in this 10 years, what she's been through in the justice system. Hello, Bullseye. So I'm going to read this, and y'all just get ready, because tomorrow KJ's going to let it rip as well. The Unveiling reveals how it feels for someone to navigate the legal system where evidence is everywhere and privacy is nowhere. Ruth Marquel's son was gone. Someone had killed him, and with that murder, she began a life sentence, filtered through law enforcement and the trial life. After the arrest, it was determined that Dan's killings was a murder for hire. In sharing the shock of that irreparable act, Marquel hopes to help other families who have experienced the sudden death of a loved one from murder and violence. She made the choice to lift the curtain on being a victim and how that feels for her family. Ruth Marquel writes about her own experience to provide encouragement and insight to other families. She hopes to ensure that other grandparents do not find themselves in the same situation as she did, grieving the loss of contact with her beloved grandchildren. Her desire is to inspire people to find purpose in life using grief and loss, however it shows up and in whatever context, to make a real difference. Most importantly, she wants to guarantee that Dan is never forgotten by his children, family, friends, the legal community, and the world at large. He contributed a great deal during his life and has continued to contribute even after his death. This would be very much in character for Daniel Eric Marquel. And so we're going to absolutely get started on that. And just so y'all can get a little background of who Ruth Marquel is, besides the fact that she has a murder victim family member, Ruth Marquel is a noted author, public speaker, and the president of R&M Enterprises, a leading management consulting firm. She has worked in senior management positions in both private and public sectors for the past 40 years. Ruth has lectured on issues concerning negotiation and advancement in organizations at the University of Toronto, the London Business School, and Toronto Metropolitan University, formerly Ryerson University. She is the author of 9 books, including Room at the Top, A Woman's Guide to Moving Up in Business. Due to the circumstances surrounding the unseen murder of Ruth's son, Dan Marquel, she has appeared on 2020 ABC, Inside Edition, Court TV, and Dateline NBC, and participated in the hit podcast Over My Dead Body by Wondery. With support from Dan's friends and extended networks, Ruth's efforts successfully changed Florida's restrictive grandparent visitation statutes to provide access to courts for other families facing terrible circumstances. Ruth hopes to use her platform and the media coverage that is inevitable around the trial and the publicity of Dan's case to make sense of, provide consolation and counsel about a horrific and powerlessness of situation. So this woman is wanting to absolutely find something good that's come out of all this. She wants to make sure that her son's memory stays alive, and just the fact that she is the type of woman who is self-made, who wants to help other women in other areas of business and stuff like that. Seems to me that she has some things that need to be said, and I'm very, very, honored that I could bring this to all of y'all if you're interested. Let's just keep in mind, y'all, after tomorrow's court hearing with Donna Adelson, things are going to ratchet up a little bit with OKJ concerning Donna Adelson's personality and the things that I see. We've already been through these emails from hell. We've talked about the timeline of events. I've given a general overview. Again, y'all, I can only bring it the way I can bring it. And it's taken me a little bit, but OKJ absolutely thinks. Now, I might be wrong, that I can get the thought. I can get the northern accent. I think I've been listening to enough of these jail phone calls that I think that I can somewhat get down Donna Adelson's accent and thus the wig and glasses. So we'll just see what happens. But I'm going to just give y'all the introduction here to this book. To my daughter, Shelley, for her love, support, and dedication to keep the light bright in our lives. To my grandchildren, Michael, Ari, Ronnie, Benjamin, and Lincoln. And Benjamin and Lincoln was Dan Marquel's children. Wendy Adelson today is walking around, y'all. It's interesting that Luis Rivera, in his testimony, when asked by the prosecutor who paid for the hit, he says Charlie and Wendy. He doesn't say Donna. But I guess where they're tying this in with Donna Adelson is that she was supposedly supposed to have washed this money that her and Harvey brought over to Charlie Adelson. And Catherine McBanawal and the other hitman have said that the money was damp and moldy. So there you go on that. Maybe the state has more. Who knows? But she's talking about her grandchildren, she says, who have the courage to make what looks impossible possible. And a special mention to Phil and Ian, who share their tragedy and journey. And I don't know who that is, but maybe we'll find out, right? Yes, love is a four-letter word, says the blog was Wendy, he said. Yeah, and that was interesting. It was almost like you would almost think that he was not coached by the state, but it's almost like either he misunderstood what the prosecutor had said, or he just got everything mixed up. I don't know. And if we've got any mods on here, would y'all please check the comments? Because really, there's people that want to come on here that don't have a life. I don't know if we've got any mods on here, but just ignore them, block them, or, report them. If more than one person reports, they'll get kicked off of YouTube. And they'll just have to ask themselves, is it worth being a hateful person, right? So anyway, I'm going to read this introduction from Ruth Marquel in the book, The Unveiling, A Mother's Reflection on Murder, Grief, and a Trial Life. By 6 a.m. on the morning of September 26 of 2019, it was already 91 degrees. Another hot and humid autumn day in Tallahassee, Florida. I was getting dressed to attend the trial of two of the people accused of killing my 41-year-old son, Dan Marquel. Even though the weather was oppressive, I put on my usual business uniform of a black jacket and black pants. I glanced in the mirror. I looked the same as I had looked for the past 7 years ever since Dan died. Haunted, defiant, devastated, battle ready. I remembered I had to take a warm shawl with me to the courtroom, as the Leon County Courthouse is always frigid. I checked my reflection one last time and asked myself these questions. Will I be comfortable sitting for hours in these clothes? Do I look appropriate for the jury, for the media, for Dan? How am I going to react when I watch the defendant walk into the courtroom for the first time? How will I deal with reporters following my every move? How did we get here? Will Dan ever receive justice? At this moment, I don't have a clue. The Unveiling references my lowest emotional moment. Going with my family to the cemetery to see Dan's gravestone for the first time, 9 months after his death, and like the act of lifting the cloth that revealed the writing carved on his tombstone, this book will expose what it feels like to be living what I call the trial life. It is, in effect, a series of unveilings. To date, one defendant has turned state's evidence, cooperating in exchange for a lesser sentence. Another has been found guilty of committing Dan's murder and has received a life sentence without parole. He has lost the appeal of his verdict. A third is being retried in 2022 after a mistrial. Others who were once members of my own extended family have been allegedly implicated in this case, but have yet to be charged. With the many inevitable postponements on the way to these new proceedings and the likely appeals if there are guilty verdicts, my own life sentence offers no likelihood of parole. Now, she wrote this book before. You think about this has been going on for 10 years. She's in the middle of watching the two hitmen and Catherine Back-Manawa going through all this. She's already heard that the Adelson family's been allegedly implicated in all this. What must be going on in her mind? You might wonder if Dan may have had done something to put himself in jeopardy. He didn't. My son was never involved in any criminal activity, and he didn't engage in dangerous behaviors or live recklessly. Instead, Dan was an upright, thoughtful citizen. He was a devoted father and loving son, a dedicated, revered law professor, a prolific, well-known scholar, and a wonderful uncle, brother, and friend. He lived a law-abiding and productive life dedicated to teaching and helping others. Dan himself was adamantly opposed to the death penalty, a view he addressed strongly and repeatedly in his work. He favored the justice of legal retribution. His death was felt by people in far-flung places around the world. And for those of us closest to him, it brought life's normal progression to a complete stop. There is so much I've learned to lean on to survive my new shadow experience of what is trial life. My book will delve into the extreme juggling act my family and I have been obliged to perform while grieving a terrible and violent loss. Each chapter will describe my experience, from learning about Dan's murder to the pretrial experience and our days in and out of the courtroom as the case wound its way through the criminal justice system. I've learned a great deal about the machinations of a murder case, the elements that the families of victims can bring to the investigations and cases, and the very public and proactive roles thrust upon us as we seek justice. The financial and psychological burdens are staggering, shattering, irreversible and permanent. Besides sharing my experience and knowledge for interested audience as well as fellow victims' families, I also wrote this book. It's to highlight the issues and problems surrounding the legal rights of grandparents in Florida. Until now, I haven't told my story, but I've decided to open up my life and my heart to describe the difficult moments that my family and I have experienced as we became connected to one of the most notorious crime stories of the past decade. In the following chapters, I will give the heart-wrenching details of the murder itself as well as the trial of the killers. And beneath those headlines, I will also discuss what life has been like for me, the unimaginable experience of being the mother of a murder victim. As the evidence unfolded and we have moved forward in our quest for justice, I've learned extraordinary lessons and gained invaluable insights. Many have been rude awakenings, others, as we found a community in our grief and advocacy, have offered unexpectedly beautiful and affirming moments. In this book, The Unveiling, a mother's reflection on murder, grief, and trial life, I hope to uncover and share hard-learned lessons which were imparted to me while waiting for hearings, trials, mistrials, and appeals. In addition to telling my and my family's story, I will write about my experience of the trial life to dispense any wisdom and insights that I have gleaned along the way and to emphasize how people can show support and offer empathy to others left bereft. Helping living victims of violent crimes, or indeed anyone navigating the trials of life, including trauma of any kind, is a cherished goal of mine. I want to make sure that other grandparents do not find themselves in the same situation as I and Dan's father are, grieving the loss of contact with grandchildren. I want to inspire people to find a purpose in their lives and to use their grief and loss, however they show up in whatever context, to make a real difference. And most importantly, I want to guarantee that Dan is never forgotten by his children, our family, the legal community, and the world at large. He contributed so much during his far too short time on earth. Continuing to contribute even after his death would be very much in character for Daniel Eric Marquel. So I really feel strongly about reading this book this week. I think that it's going to enlighten me. I mean, maybe it will enlighten you. And for all of those that are having to look at the comments where people are saying things that have nothing to do with what we're doing here today, please report or just ignore it. That's one thing that has always kind of, I don't know, given me this cynicism about going on live streams. But I'll tell you what, the cynicism and having to deal with these kind of people that come on these live streams is not as strong as my desire to get with the Rays. Hello, Kathy. How are you doing? I was just telling everyone that, you know, it's all, I mean, even during the end of the last case that we were looking at with the Hussey and Chin, I started having to put those on advanced settings because I didn't have any mods and I didn't expect I would need moderators. So if you see anything, Kathy, while you're on here, I'm not asking you to commit to nothing, but if you could help OKJ out, the Rays deserve it, okay? The Rays deserve to be able to come on the live stream with OKJ because we've been together for several years, and I would appreciate it. Thank you, Kathy. I appreciate it. I really do. I really do. Right. Just me. I get it. So how's everybody doing? Is everybody on board? I mean, pretty much, because I'd really like to see it in the comments. I know y'all are going to always love me as much as I love y'all, being the rays that you are and everything. I know it's a little bit different to have to go to another case, but OKJ's not one of these ones that's going to cover all kinds of cases. If I'm going to cover a case, I'm going to do what I can in the vein of what I see and all of that. So what do y'all think? Could anybody let me know whether I've been interesting enough content-wise to continue to move forward as we near this trial of Donna Adelson? There you go. Love is a four-letter word. I appreciate it. Thank you. I guess I need to reiterate that I really, y'all, I'm serious, a heart attack. I really thought I wasn't going to do any more live streams, and that last live stream was so important to me because it honored Cresha and her family and all that. I didn't want any of that, so I just started popping mods on people without even asking them. So for the ones that were popped as a mod that don't want to do it, I apologize. I thought it was the last live stream. Angela said, I'd love to hear this book, and I think you're doing great. Thank you, Angela. You know, OKJ can't do great or even, level great without all y'all's comments because, see, I take those in, and it helps me to understand a consensus and an overall view of everyone. You know, you are the only you're ever going to be. You think it's just a catchphrase when I say research analysis and what? You? If anybody's been around long enough, they understand that OKJ really, really values the comments. That's more important than what I've got to say. Donna Adelson says, I have had COVID this week, and now my mama has it, so prayers are welcome. Oh, dear Jesus, Donna, I hope everything's okay. I hope it's a mild case. Love is a four-letter word. Says, I followed this case from the beginning. I work in dentistry, and that's what caught my attention. This periodontist, Charlie Adelson, being attached to this case was just insane to me. Isn't it interesting? Y'all, if you go online also on YouTube, you type in Charlie Adelson's home, and there's this woman, please forgive me, I can't tell you what her name was, but I ran across it, and she gave... on her YouTube, she went to the house and virtually showed you Charlie Adelson's home. It's freaking gorgeous. And he speaks of how his home was an extension of him as he's sitting in jail talking to his mother. He's like, that home meant so much to me. All I ever wanted to be was home. Y'all, he had every damn thing in the world going for him. Which leads me to believe, even though he said I should have went with my gut, that could mean one of two things. He should have went with his gut and not listened to his mother, Donna Adelson, bitch and complain to him about, getting this done, getting rid of Dan Marquel, or his gut instinct was he should have got on a plane and left the country because he'd hung around for all those years. Hello, Julie Wilburn. So, yeah, for him to have been a professional like that, and he was making millions of dollars, y'all. The Adelson Institute of Aesthetics and Dentistry there was making money hand over fist. It just lends me to this thing, this hubris and arrogance that I brought out when I first came out on a video about me wanting to do this case. They just thought they had so much money and that nobody would ever... think that they would be involved in such a thing. It goes back to Charlie Adelson talking to Catherine McManawal on that wire in Dolce Vita, that restaurant, saying, yeah, here I am standing in a driveway with a gangster and he's dead. They're not going to go down too hard on me. So, hello, Rachel Black. Yes, that's a good point, Karen Sheets. Narcissist is a powerful drug. Great point. These people, they just get blinders on. They think they get their way so much. They could not get their way, y'all. For their family member, Wendy, to move from Tallahassee back to South Florida. They could not. The judge was not going to allow that. The judge knew that, Wendy wanted this divorce. The judge looked at all environmental views of the whole thing, looked at Dan and Wendy, looked at how she left him and everything else, took into consideration everything. And those two little boys, they were down in Tallahassee. They were settled. Stephanie Willa says, I think the reading of her book will add another level to trying to understand this case. The only info I knew about the case prior to you sharing your research was Charlie's verdict and sentencing. Well, that's, Stephanie, the bottom line on that is even KJ. I've had to play catch up on it as well. I had been looking at it on and off for some time. I was tugged toward it. Especially when I started reading those emails and realizing that Donna was willing to put her daughter and her grandchildren through this mock change of religion, and how she viewed, Dan's piety. Because Dan, when I was looking into Dan's background growing up and kind of skimming through this book, I know I'm kind of giving you a little more than I should because I hadn't started the book. When Dan was young, he wanted to be a rabbi. So it wasn't like he just embraced his religious belief. And even if he did, once he became a law professor and stuff, Donna was always talking about, he's just doing this, so taking the kids to church and to the synagogue like that because he wants people to think he's all this in a box of crackers type of stuff. Yes, Love is a Four-Letter Word is talking about how the hitmen they went to go down there to assassinate Dan Marquel, and one of them's gun went off into the Prius and put a hole through the bottom there and severed the gas line, and they had to pull over and repair it. Could you imagine that? Could you imagine these two idiots going through all that? It's just so many facets. Yes, Rachel Black, when you say I misunderstood the case before you explained it, I thought the Adelsons were Catholic to begin with. No, you probably figured this out by now. They were, the Adelsons are Jewish, okay? Now, whether or not they practice Judaism, the only signal I have for that was when I read, and y'all can look for those that haven't watched it, where I'd given a different side of Donna, according to a friend who wrote an article that had known the Adelsons for 40 years, said that the Coral Springs synagogue they used to attend when the children were growing up. So at some point, the Adelsons were going to synagogue, but you would not know this, y'all, by reading these emails with Donna. She doesn't even show anything in it that she's actually making fun of Judaism. And in fact, she looks at it like Judaism, in terms of Dan Marquel, was an extreme version of it, and saying, hey, Wendy, he's going to want these kids to only eat certain types of food, which if you study Judaism, it's kosher stuff and, and all that. So it seems, just as in any religion, I'm sure, there are Orthodox, and then there's people that are on the spectrum of Judaism, along with any other religion. I don't know where Donna and Harvey and Wendy and Charlie fit on that, in that spectrum at all, because I don't see anywhere in any kind of information that I've been looking at that they were continuing to be active members in the synagogue. Kathy says the Adelsons were conservative. Dan was Orthodox. There is a big difference. Thank you, Kathy. I appreciate that. There wasn't a lot of brain power used from any of the players, says Kathy, and she's speaking of the hitmen. Could you imagine going down the road and you're a hitman? I mean, of course, we can't wrap it around our head that people that would go out here and want to murder people, and the gun goes off in the car. I mean, what kind of professional hitmen do we have here? Well, thank you, Hazel. I'm glad you're here. You know, this case has been going on for 10 years, and there are bukus of really excellent YouTube creators that have done all kinds of coverage on this case. And so KJ's just here with friends. We've been together for 4 years. You know, my view of things and the comments, which the comments are more important, is maybe, you know, the same as everything else, or maybe there's a different perspective. I want to give voice to everyone about their views of this case. Now, tomorrow, I'm going to have to look. I'll post on the community wall what time this hearing is supposed to take place with Donna Adelson. And, you know, she's been in jail, y'all. She's been in jail for a pretty good while awaiting her trial. And as many of y'all that have been following recall, the original date for her trial was September 30th, and she absolutely, through her attorneys, wanted to move that up to the 17th instead of the 30th of September because Dan Rashbaum and his crew there wanted to observe special holy holidays of the Jewish faith. Don't y'all find that ironic? He is representing a woman who went off the deep end about Judaism, and yet he's going to go in here, give it his damnedest. He's getting paid out the ass, I'm sure, to get her off the hook. Let me just say this. The only thing that I see, y'all, the only thing I see about Donna Adelson's guilt so far, and maybe I'm not completely up to speed on it, is number one, the money that was washed by Donna, that was moldy and wet. Also, the text message the night that Charlie and Catherine McBanawalter were together. She said, we're almost there. And Charlie says, I'm 10 minutes out. It shows that Donna and Harvey was on their way to Charlie's, i.e. to give him money to pay off the hitmen. Also, it does not look good, y'all, that Donna and Harvey wanted a one-way ticket to Vietnam, but, you know, her defense attorney could always say they you know, in my client's view, they convicted her son and she believes he's innocent. She feels like this is too much bias here in Tallahassee, and she didn't think she was going to get a fair trial, so she wanted to leave before they charged her or indicted her or anything like that. Which, y'all, that's a possibility. I mean, we have to look at both sides of it. Ingram's page says pre-trial hearing is 1:30 tomorrow, y'all. And I don't know what time that would be in Florida time, so y'all have to look that up. Thank you so much, Ingram's page. I really appreciate that. Again, this is a joint venture of everyone on this channel. This is just an open channel. There's no monetization. There's no benefit other than one benefit, y'all. And it all depends on your view of it. Justice through understanding. It really has to do whatever you think that is. And there is no wrong answer on it. Research, analysis, and you. This is just an open channel of all different people. This is like a Zoom call, okay? To me. It might be different to all of y'all. Jessica Ross says Donna is guilty as hell. Well, you know, she's pled not guilty just like Charlie. And Jessica, if you've listened to those jail phone calls between Charlie and Donna after his conviction, he doesn't say a whole lot like, I'm not guilty, I didn't do this. There are little things here and there that is said, but it's mostly about, we poured all this money into jury experts. We poured all this money. Dan Rashbaum did an excellent thing. Tallahassee wasn't going to give us a fair trial. It's almost the encapsulation of saying, and this is just my opinion, that Donna and Charlie are saying that there was no way that he could have gotten off of this because of Tallahassee. But if you look at the common sense, if Charlie Adelson is saying, well, the reason that these guys murdered Dan Marquel was because they knew that, you know, we didn't like Dan Marquel, and so they went and murdered him to make it look like we paid him. Y'all, that makes no sense at all. And the prosecuting team in Charlie Adelson's trial, in their opening, their closing, and even the cross-examination of Charlie Adelson, I mean, he had an answer. And this goes back again, y'all, to what I've used it as example many times, and that is Jodi Arias. She had all that time to fill in the blanks. She had an answer for everything. It didn't matter that it sounded crazy. The fact is she had an answer for everything. And Charlie's family, along with the mother of his child, this Bree woman and others, they were just willing so desperately to believe this, or at least want to stand behind him. I just cannot believe that anybody could see that as a valid reason why any of this happened. Look who benefited mostly. I mean, ultimately, when it comes down to it, y'all, Wendy Adelson benefited more than any of them. Although Dan Marquel's family there, or I believe it's the sister Shelley, is the trustee of his estate, those monies can be requested by Wendy at any time. For the children, Wendy got everything. She got everything. Jessica Ross says exactly, common sense. But unfortunately, common sense is not so common anymore. Yeah, and I think, Jessica, really it comes down to this, this whole thing that we've all learned over the years as we've watched trials, and this is what, reasonable doubt. Well, folks, reasonable doubt isn't any doubt. I mean, what? Anything's possible, right? Well, that's not reasonable doubt. You have to take into totality everything. Just as the prosecutor there, Miss Kaplan, said that she didn't really think that Catherine McBenawal was a good witness, and that she believed that Catherine McBenawal was a liar. But she said if some of the stuff that Catherine McBenawal said, you look at what she says, then you look at other factual evidence that could corroborate that. And I thought that was just an excellent way of looking at it, because yes, I'm sure Catherine McBenawal, she had already proven it before. She tried to say she wasn't guilty and all of this and that, but the bottom line is she absolutely testified. She wasn't the greatest witness, but there were points that the jury could look at and say, whether you think Catherine McBenawal's a liar or not, the bottom line is when she said this on the stand, it absolutely corroborated something that was unrelated to what Catherine McBenawal had testified to that lined up. Love is a four-letter word. Says, after the bump, phone calls between Donna and Charlie reminded me of the jail calls between Lori and Chad. Lori was looking for reassurance from Chad, and Donna was looking for reassurance from Charlie. Wow, that's an excellent way of application there. Great point there. So, does anybody, Jessica, do you know what this pretrial hearing will be about? I mean, I haven't really looked. As the Rays know, I've always been a big stickler for thinking and research. Yes, I can do all the thinking and research and bring it to you, but folks, there are people on this channel that do the thinking and research that blow me away, that help me along, that educate me. So, I'm a big stickler for thinking and using your own thoughts and perspectives. This isn't groupthink on here. This is about all different types of, comments and ideas about this case. And definitely, y'all, we're going to seek it. I believe that many of y'all got your own definition of justice through understanding with the last case, and I feel like if you put your effort toward it, the fact that we're going to look at this through the screen, the focus of victims' family members, yes, we're going to delve into the evilness of this Adelson family. And I'm just, y'all, Harvey had to have known throughout all of this. And one thing I did leave out on my, I guess what you call the red flag of Donna being guilty, why in the hell? Why was she writing Catherine McManawal checks every month for 2 freaking years when Catherine McManawal wasn't doing anything? I think about that picture of Charlie and Donna sitting at that picnic table away from everyone, discussing things after the fact. No one could hear what they were saying. Or the fact that Donna, Harvey, and Charlie was sitting at a table near a pool one time after the fact, being away from everyone, what they were saying. It really comes down to the jury in Tallahassee. I mean, they're not, it's very clear, and I've looked it up. In terms of change of venue, Tallahassee doesn't do much of it. And in terms of Charlie and Donna talking on those jail phone calls, Charlie is telling her, you know, from what Dan Rashbaum is telling them, you know, hey, we don't see many appeals in this. The judge was pretty good to us. That usually, if a judge is making rulings that are against the defense, that's more of a reason to file a specific thing of an appeal. Yes, love is a 4-letter word. When you say a little bit off topic, but your perspective on the phone call between Lori and Chad about the backyard, you're the only person who makes sense about it. It's not Alex they're talking about. It was Chad, yes. Yes, I mean, again, I have a perspective. My perspective ain't always right. People either can embrace that or they can add to it, take away from it, say, no, KJ, I don't think so. Whatever, I honor that. Whatever anyone says. I will continue to say this, though, when in terms of change of venue, I don't think that Tallahassee's got to worry about that in terms of any appeals for Charlie Adelson. I mean, let's just armchair quarterback this. You know, the hitmen came from South Florida, down there in the Miami area. Where was Tallahassee going to move it to another, down there? Were they going to move it to another county? I mean, everybody in Florida knew about this. And we've all gotten a front row seat to what change of venue does. I mean, it went from Fremont County to Ada County in the last case, and it didn't make a dang bit of difference for Chad Daybell. Oh, right. Well, I understand that for sure. Tallahassee's not fond of the Adelsons. And, y'all, on top of it all, and I keep going back to these emails or to these phone calls between Charlie and Donna, they are such bigots. I mean, I'm sorry, that's my opinion. Talking about, Charlie talking about these people that sat on his jury were country bumpkins, or the prosecutor saying, y'all. Well, I'll tell you what right now. Oh, KJ's been to college. Maybe I'm not as smart as what a dentist has to go through to get, you know, the education they get through. But I say y'all. Does that make me a dumbass or stupid? I don't think so. I say y'all, and I don't give a rat's ass what Donna or Charlie think about country folk. Yes, I am. Love is a 4-letter word. I'm going to do a skit with the fancy white lady. The one who thinks that a black Southern judge wouldn't have a problem and wouldn't think that Wendy was lying to come into her courtroom and say, we've decided to baptize the kids in the Catholic Church, which is a damn lie. And that this Southern black lady would just, oh, you want to be a Christian like I am? Give me a break, y'all. That's short-sighted from the Adelsons. They talked about the makeup and the demographic nature of these juries, the way that people talk. If that isn't bigotry and racism, I don't know what is. They couldn't get a fair trial in Tallahassee, says Charlie, because he's white, rich, and Jewish. Give me a break. That is ridiculous. And the only jury that Charlie Adelson felt like was a jury of his peers were these really smart, well-educated, rich people. Give me a break. Just Me says it's not rocket science, right? Jessica Ross says his trial ended exactly the way it should have. What is interesting is he was so high up on his hog about how much money they spent on jury experts. And I mean, I guarantee if it was made public how much Dan Rashbaum made to defend Charlie Adelson, I bet it was hundreds of thousands of dollars, y'all. I would say a lot. I mean, maybe even up to millions. Who knows? To get him off the hook. First of all, to think that money can get you off the hook in any murder trial. That's just ridiculous. But the fact that, you know, what is it? Tina Reddington says, a lot of people in Southern Oregon say y'all just means you all. Right. You know, it's not exactly in the Webster's dictionary, right? But, you know, they've got dictionaries of just the way that people talk. There's Ewans, and, I mean, I could go down a whole laundry list of what people have always, their accents and the way they sound. It's ridiculous. Hello, Mark McGarry. When Donna said that the lady at the jail who was black called her a fancy white lady and that she doesn't have any rights, oh my word, I almost fell out of my chair. Well, it's just like this, love is a four-letter word. Charlie was talking to Donna saying a bailiff told him, man, you were free for, what, 5 or 6 years during the, Catherine McManawall and the two hitmen and stuff. He's saying that the bailiff told him that he should have ran. He should have left the country. The bailiff said, I'd be sitting on a beach somewhere. Karen, she says he is entitled and he is the one on trial, not us. Country pumpkins instead. That's amazing. Right. The hubris, right, Karen? Which was, I tried to say, what could I really see in this before even really starting to understand it a little better with the help of all y'all? I thought, the general overview, it's on the video list, y'all. I said hubris and arrogance. Mark McGarry says, having coffee. It's quiet. It's a quiet morning. Yeah, I never thought that I could ever get down in terms of how I was going to structure looking at this case or even the last case. I just let it flow the way it's flowing. Tina Reddington says, Mark, I'm having coffee too. It's too smoky to go outside today. Is there wildfires or something going on, Tina? I just really appreciate any mods that are on here. Thank you, Kathy and others. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. It really, it makes things a little easier for me during this time. I just never expected it to get like this. I didn't think that it would, but ever since it was a while back, near the end of us studying the last case where YouTube was really starting to open up the streaming to everyone and there was more trolls coming on. I used to be able to live stream and nobody. We didn't have to worry about nothing. Y'all remember that? Tina says Oregon is on fire. Stop the Earl and drama, says Sunny, hot here, called from work. Dogs are cute, says I love you. Well, I love you too, dogs are cute. Just Me says people are nasty just to be nasty. They want attention. Right, Just Me. And Just Me, you've seen this evolution over time in terms of this channel, how it just got worse and worse. It was almost like, YouTube was just trying to get me to a place where I didn't want to do nothing anymore. Julie Wilburn says, would love to step aside for a cigarette, but there are so many June bugs and I'm scared. Well, Julie, when I was a little kid, the little June bugs, if you're talking about the green shell bugs that fly around that don't bite or nothing, we used to tie string to their leg. I am not lying. When we were kids, we'd let them go, but you tie a string to the June bug, and it was so, you should, someone that does not care to do that, try that out. I'm telling you, it's funny as hell. It don't hurt them. It don't hurt them. You just tie a little string there, and then you take the string off, and let them fly away. It's funny. Junebug Jumbo, have you heard? Julie scared of the Junebug bug. Dog says everyone tries to take advantage of people that make it in life, but always listen to your heart. Very, very good advice there. Dogs are cute. Carrie She says, try hanging laundry during locust season. Ugh. Julie says, I'm deathly afraid of them. My dad did the same thing, but they dive at you and stick in your hair. I'll tell you what, Julie, I'm the type of person, I kid you not, if something comes in here that could sting me, I'll usually take a glass and take a piece of paper or an envelope, and I get it up against there, and then I throw it out. I do. But I'll tell you one thing that freaks OKJ out is if I'm walking over here in the side yard and I walk into a spider web. Because the first thing I think is, holy cow, where is the spider? And I start doing all this stuff. Because I just don't like spiders. I cannot stand them. Kathy Mama Bear says, I spent my summers growing up in Alabama and I despise every bug on this planet, LOL. You know what, Kathy? Every time I say that, LOL, do y'all remember? It's on the videos on this channel where I was reading out Zulema and Lori's text messages about, oh, Zulema, let's do our superpowers tonight and everything. And then Wayne read off the thing. Instead of laughing in that point, he said LOL, and I lost it. So every time now I say LOL, it just reminds me of Mr. Wayne saying LOL instead of laughing. There was a self-made PhD type who loved spiders. Tina Reddington doesn't like spiders or snakes. Right, Stephanie Willen. You just got to figure out, are they on the web? And are they, because it's all in your hair or on you and you're just jumping everywhere. Mark McGarry says, I'm wearing a spider belt buckle. Oh, someone was wearing a spider belt buckle. True story, says Mark McGarry. You remember that, Angela? Oh, I've done some terrible things. Well, it's not terrible. I got Mr. Wayne roped into wearing a wig and being Bubba and all that, y'all. He had so much fun doing it. And I mean, it was so much fun. It really was. Just to kind of lighten things. Things have gotten so depressing and hurtful covering these murder trials and stuff. Kathy says, my grandpa was a forest ranger and used to bring home rattlesnakes. He taught me how to handle snakes, and I love them, but you all know I'm weird. Well, Kathy, Mama Bear, OKJ will not get near a poisonous snake, but I have caught chicken snakes, garter snakes. I'm not afraid of them or anything like that. I don't have a problem with snakes. But if I see a poisonous one, OKJ's going to have to get out the 380, okay? Dogs are cute. Did you hear about Taylor Swift was doing her concert or whatever, and she swallowed a bug? And she stopped what she was doing? Well, all I got to say is this, Taylor Swift. Bugs are protein. All right, get over it. You'll live. You ain't going to die. I mean, come on, y'all. You can look it up online, factual data. Anytime you got flour or wheat or anything in products, the FDA says, well, you can have a few bug legs in your flour and stuff, and that passes the FDA. I mean, I shit you not, y'all. There is bugs in stuff that's been ground down into flour to wheat. Look it up. I'm not making this up. Yes, love is a 4-letter word. Thank you for getting KJ back on track. Georgia Kappelman is an amazing prosecutor. Yes, she gets her point across. Y'all, for those that haven't done it yet, go ahead. Look at the opening and closings of her and Charlie Adelson's case. She's on the money. Yes, Donna, even in candy and all kinds of food sources. The fact of the matter is if you put aside that bugs in certain cultures are a delicacy, I mean, come on. I mean, people eat, fish eggs and say that's for, rich elite people. Hell, I've never had caviar. I don't care to have caviar, but if it was ever presented to me on a cracker, I'd probably try it, but I've never been in the position to eat caviar or bugs or anything like that. Hell, when we had these locusts come out, no, not the locusts, the cicadas, excuse me. There were people that were actually saying, well, here's some recipes, and it's damn good. I mean, I'm like, dang. Right, Kathy. Eating the worm at the bottom of a tequila bottle. Who was that? Who was the one that had the tequila? Let's see. I'm trying to think who that was. Tequila, oh, tequila. Mark McGarry's had crocodile. Donna Adelson says, I'll stick to chicken. Jose Guerrero, says Rodolfo Erdicon. Excuse me if I ain't pronouncing that properly. No, we will definitely continue to move forward, y'all, to get justice through understanding. OKJ's been friends with all of the Rays on here for several years, and we do talk about unrelated things just to keep in touch with one another. My dad fed my oldest snapping turtle a baby. What's that? Maybe I'm misunderstanding that. Just me says, I've eaten frog legs and raccoon. It was good. I guarantee you, folks, if you couldn't go to the store anymore and get food, and your ass had to go out here in the woods, some of y'all, you would say, I'd eat bark or I'd eat grass or whatever. I guarantee you, y'all, if it was meat, you'd dang be wanting to eat it unless you're a vegan. Well, Rodolfo, when you say, would you please try a little not to murder the English language? Well, I'll tell you what, I understand the sentiment there. But OKJ's going to talk the way I talk. And if you don't like the way I talk, I promise you, there are millions upon millions of YouTube channels that will talk the way you want them to talk. You don't have to listen to anything that's coming out of my mouth. Okay? That's interesting, is it not? Well, what if, because you're stuck in the comments there, what if I actually heard your voice and said, hey, Rodolfo, can you try not to talk that way? Give me a break. Go find another channel. If you can't show common civility on here. We got people on here that know English, and some of them know 2 or 3 different languages. Just an old country girl. Just because I'm an old country girl means that I'm saying something wrong? Well, I'll tell you what. I did real good in English in college. I mean, have you been to college, Rodolfo? Huh? I just have an accent. And it feels good to talk the way I want to talk. And if people don't like the way I talk, they can go find someone that lines up with their idea of what English is. Give me a break. Right, just me. I'll tell you what, Rodolfo. And Rodolfo's off here now, but I want to share this with the Rays. If I'm a hick, if I'm a redneck, if I'm a country bumpkin, if I'm backward ass, if I'm whatever kind of language that people want to call me, I'm proud of it. And I'll say this once and for all. Anyone don't like the way I talk, they don't have to be here. And if they want to continue to come on this channel and talk their shit, they can kiss my country ass. How about that? Huh? How about that? Do I say kiss my country ass in English? Yes, I do. How about that? What if I was the one listening to someone else? All these people on here right now, and they were the ones coming to me, and I could hear their voice and all that. Would it be right for me to say, wow, they don't talk like me? Let me tell you what, when people shut themselves off from other people that talk differently, or maybe their accent is differently, that is short-sighted. That's ignorance right there. Because you can learn a lot from people that don't talk like you. I appreciate the mods on here. And I appreciate y'all taking the time to... It's just, you know, I should understand by now. I mean, I'm 53 years old. I should understand that it's okay for people not to show me respect or civility or anything. They believe the way they want and all that. But it's just ridiculous that they come on this channel to voice that. I don't expect people to agree with everything I say, but when they get to the point where they don't agree with how I'm saying it, because I have an accent, because I was born in Tennessee, give me a break. That's short-sightedness. I know, just me. But y'all, surely, y'all been around long enough that old KJ gets on my soapbox about how people are sometimes. And you know, it's a waste of freaking time. I don't even know why I do it, but I do it. So once and for all, to try to steer me back, because love is a four-letter word, Kathy and others have always tried to get me back on track, because y'all, I'm not very good at this YouTube stuff, but I try. Anyway, what do y'all think? Here's the question. Do y'all think that this will be good for us to cover this case? The book reading this week, also covering this hearing tomorrow, and also maybe expanding on the theatrics of Donna Adelson. Are y'all in for this? Because if you're not, I totally can understand that. Just let me know. Well, Gia, I get sick of rude people too. And maybe, maybe I come across as abrasive or whatever, but thank you, Trevor. I appreciate it. Thank you, Donna. Thank you, Tina Reddington, who's always been here. Stephanie Willa, thank you. Norma Guerrero, thank you. Denise Gray, hello, hon. Little Lady Di, thank you. I know who y'all are. Kathy Mama Bear, I know who every damn one of you are. Gia, thank you. MK, thank you. Julie Wilburn. Yes, let's just do this, because ultimately, I can't sit here and say this covering this case is going to equal into something. What my hope is that people get their own justice through understanding, whatever that means to them. Thank you, Tanya. Thank you, Angela. Thank you, Keith. Ooh, Seal Star X says today's my birthday. Well, happy birthday. Eric Jasper's birthday was a few days ago. So, happy birthday, Eric Jasper. I did put in the comments near Eric's comment that it was his birthday. So, I hope he saw that. And the Rays on here and other people that aren't the Rays, and that's fine too. Please, if ever I bring up someone's birthday, let's give them a happy birthday. And also, let's keep Donna Donald and her mother in our thoughts and prayers. If you pray or just kind thoughts, they both have COVID, so let's keep an eye on that. And let's keep the good vibes going, There can't be nothing wrong with showing a little bit of love in the midst of all this evil crap that goes on in this world. Can't nothing, stop the Earl and Drama says prayers out to them. Grandma Daisy says that I look homeless. I guarantee you I'm not homeless. But I'll tell you what, that's sad, isn't it, y'all? Isn't it sad that people want to call people homeless when there are actually homeless people out here in the world? Now, years ago, OKJ had been homeless. Years, like in my younger years. There was a brief stint of my life where I was homeless, living out of my car. But there are homeless people in this world that deserve a little respect. Just because they're homeless, people want to use them as some kind of negativity. Yes, being homeless is negative, but there are a lot of homeless people that can't help it. They do deserve a little respect. All right, Kathy, I'm sorry. Every time somebody says something, I've got to do it. Can't help it. Yes, Al Bradley, that's disrespectful. People are so rude. Folks, the bottom line is this channel is an open channel. It's not always that I will be on a live stream. My heart goes out to any of y'all that I've made a mod simply because I just care about everyone on this channel not having to deal with OKJ reacting because I can't help it. And I'm sure that's what brings them in even more. But I appreciate it. M4YB3 says they do deserve that respect. Yes, they do. Because nobody knows their story. Nobody knows why they're homeless. Too many people want to say they're homeless because they're not trying or this or that. That's a crock of shit. People do not want to be homeless. Okay? See you later, Stop the Earl and Dramas. Take care. Thank you, Denise Gray. Rachel Black says, my heart goes out to the homeless. Any one of us could experience it. To the unforeseen things, you dang Skippy. Right, little Lady Di. Remember when we were waiting for Wayne to bring the boat? We've had all kinds of experiences, y'all. Yes, Donna Donald. Prayers for the homeless. And folks, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. Remember to be looking tomorrow. KJ's going to be releasing something on this. We had someone on here bring up, I think it was Jessica, brought up that is coming at 1:30 tomorrow, 1:30 p.m. tomorrow, whatever time that is in Florida. Donna Adelson's got a pretrial hearing also. I'm going to be getting started on this book, and I'm going to do my very best to make it as seamless Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, hopefully by Wednesday or Thursday, so that we're kind of remember what was said the day before. I can't read it all at one time. I just can't. But Kathy Mama Bear says, instead of being mean today, tell someone you love them and smile, y'all. Y'all. I love y'all. You know I do. I appreciate y'all even taking any of your precious time to come on here and listen to OKJ. I really appreciate it. Means the world to me. Have a great Sunday. Be looking all this week. And as always, when KJ says I love you, keep on looking.